All right, that's fine. The class is being recorded and I will be sharing my screen in a moment. All right, thank you all for joining once again. And thank you for the sacrifice of making out the time. I'm sure it's not convenient for most people because of some tight schedule, especially in this kind of environment we find ourselves. We have to juggle a number of things together to ensure all those things are keeping at pace with each other and everything is following the original plan that is scheduled without any issue. So the point is, a couple of discussion came after the class we had last week, and um, the request was that those people needed some assistance in catching up with the class, and that they would love to have one or two extra catch up class to blend with the rest of the people in the class. So my intention was to find some time in the course of the week to engage them and assist where necessary. But unfortunately, that could not hold. So in that process of time, I figure out another way to assist as many people who needed one catch-up class or the other. And uh, by so doing, I have come up with a structured arrangement of the different lessons we'll be going through, which will be seen by everybody. So this was the project we did at first. All of these are already uploaded on the different channels for our communication. Then we also had this last week, which we also finished. That was project two. And I think before that, we did a data cleaning exercise, which was this from this raw data. So we transformed it to this state of the data. So in all of the projects we have done so far, we've used different skills, different steps in Excel. We've used different formula calculation and functions. We've used different tools to achieve those different projects we have done. So why comments were coming from people for one or two catch-up classes. So we sat down again and figured out, okay, maybe we should just restructure the whole thing. We can go back to project again. Probably we'll pick project three or four in the course of time, but we could outline all the different steps or all the different topics that are basic for people who are enthusiastic about data analytics, and that we will follow that religiously week in, week out. And of course, each of them has got exercise that will be done or be given as assignment for people to do. But at least that structure can be in place for people to see what kind of schedule we are following, and maybe they will be able to easily follow recordings thereafter, because each of the recordings will now be named after the different topics in the schedule that is being originally shared. So we've worked on that, and here is the schedule we'll be following in the next 2.5 or 3 months, which is systematic enough for everybody to follow. So um, please confirm you can see my screen, right?
Yes, please.
Good. So this is the schedule and curriculum, and this is the table of contents for the curriculum we'll be following now. We've used a few of all of these skills in those projects that we did, and thank God They were all recorded and shared already on the different platforms for people to go after at their leisure and practice on their own. It's been advised actually that as aspiring data analyst or uh, uh, people analytics expert or officer or whatever name or nomenclature is given to it, it's important you try your hands on a few projects and start building up your project portfolio too. The only way to get all of these things is not just by watching or listening. You've got to also try them out. In the process of trying them out, definitely there may be one or two thing that is unclear and you need clarification over it. Of course, all of that can be pushed across to us in terms of questions, which will be happy to assist that person to move forward. But the most important thing is that everybody knows that you must get or you must have your own project portfolio, which is a collection of the different tasks or exercises you have equally laid your hand upon. So this is the content we'll be following, and I'm sure there will be projects coming up in between. And it is structured this way just for people who are complete novice, who are complete unfamiliar with data to start with and to follow one step at a time. So it is called Data Analytics Fundamental, and the very first module is just to tell us what exactly is data analytics projects. So I'm taking my time using today's class to explain the entire curriculum this way for us to see what we'll be delving into subsequently from next class. So that's module one, and we have introduction of that, defining analytics in real time, data analytics in action. Then we also talk about portfolio, which I've mentioned in passing now. That what is important about portfolio? What is it about? What are the different what do you call it? What are the different platforms or the different um, online places where project portfolio can be hosted, and how can somebody probably create a personal URL or a personal blog where record or digital record of what the person has done is kept in those places. This is so crucial because no matter how good you are as a data analyst or people analytics expert, you've got to put something out there on the internet for your would-be um, employer or would-be client to see, and they will see it as an evidence of demonstration of your competence and ability in that particular thing. So that is what makes portfolio quite important. And we'll do a summary of that for module one. Then module two goes into getting data with data gathering and investigation. What are the different methods and sources of getting data? When a project comes to mind, it may not be a project fed into you or given to you by somebody. You may conceptualize a project yourself as a data analyst, and the next thing is that okay, why conceptualizing a project? Some questions rove around your mind and you want to answer them. The next thing is okay, where are the available information to use in answering these questions for this particular project? So those information are data. So where do you get the data? So we'll talk about the different platforms too, where data can be gotten in module two, and how to investigate the data when we get to module two. So module three, we go ahead and deal with data uh, preparation and cleaning for analysis. So this is more like getting what we need to getting the data ready ahead of analysis and the different steps. We did a project on data cleaning a couple of classes ago, and that is quite instructive to this particular module, just to show us how much we must care about the state of the data, how clean it is before you can move ahead to trigger any analysis step or analysis process. Then On that, we do data in structured file, unstructured data, data preparation, then we summarize that module. So in structured file and unstructured data talks about data that comes in the regular way, that we have table, rows, and column, and those different cells are data points being filled in the table or in the row against the column. That is more like a structured file that contains data. But more often than not, especially in this time and age, in this digital revolution that we find ourselves all over the world, data does not necessarily come in structured file any longer. Data comes more today in unstructured formats than in structured formats. But what do we do? Does that mean we should jettison or look away from that, from those data that come from unstructured source? No. In fact, they contain more insights and more, what will I call it? More information useful for the future and even today than structured file. And that is why we call something in data analytics, we call it big data. That is where the word big data came from. Big data came from the fact that there is now data everywhere. Whether you deliberately keep it in a file or not, data is generated on per second basis all over the world. And no thanks to the internet and technology, we have more devices these days than we ever had in the last 10 years. Those devices we now have today, each of them also generates data. In I can't is it in terabyte, even far beyond terabytes. In fact, recently I learned that every aircraft leaving a particular point of origin to any destination generates at least 1 terabyte of data just for one leg, one movement, a toe movement. It will generate another 1 terabyte of data in a flow movement. So it keeps somewhere either in the brain box or wherever it is designed to be in the craft. The data is generated as to maybe what time it's leaving, how many people are on board, the food they had, was there any incidents during the flight, how was what was the weather condition, what was the forecast of the weather against the actual weather they met, because there will have been a forecast the pilot and the co-pilot will have studied before embarking on that journey, and that will be compared vis-a-vis with what they saw, and that can be compared to a particular trend this month last year, this week last year. Let's go and check the data to see if what we are experiencing now was exactly the same thing that happened around the same time in the previous year. And there are people somewhere seated on this data trying to extract insights from it to inform very sensitive information in craft or aircrafts designed subsequently. And that's exactly how the world is being improved and what have you. So we have data coming in different ways. Data comes in picture form, data comes in image form, data comes in audio form, data comes in video form. So data does not come any longer in text, rows and column. So those data that do not come that way, they are called unstructured data. So there are also systems in place that help work on those different source of data that are not structured to convert them to a structured one and merge it to the existing structured one to make it a complete set of data that can be worked on. So we'll talk more on that when we get to that module. The module 4 is now talking about how to transform the data. In this case, we are using Excel to do the data transformation, which is also the data analytics. So here we'll be sorting and filtering data with Excel, formatting and adjusting data. We also do data calculations, then we summarize that module. So in module 5, we'll go further into deep data analysis, and this time around we'll be using statistics. Of course, we have statistical tool on Excel that we can deploy to analyze data. So we'll be seeing all of that. So using statistics to interpret data, choosing the right visualization, which we've done in a couple of projects that we have exemplified in this series. We'll also be creating visualization inside Excel, addressing anomalies in data, using Excel to address issues that we can identify with any set of data. Then we'll also summarize the particular module. In Module 6, we'll be introducing what we call relational databases and SQL. SQL in tech, we call it SQL, and it is called structured query language. So for relational databases is the traditional database that something like Oracle database are using to power a lot of database information of very large organization the world over. And that is the traditional way of archiving data and storing it. But in this age and time, data storage has gone a bit beyond relational database, because all of the unstructured source of data I mentioned earlier in module 3 or 4, they do not fit readily with relational databases. So they are called non-SQL databases, because relational databases are SQL-based databases. But there is an opposite side of it, which is called NoSQL, meaning that it does not come in a structured format. It comes in just different format, audio, video, image, signals, and what have you. So you've got to go ahead and take the right tool to convert those different forms those data have come and get them readily uh, conforming with the traditional system or format of database archiving. Then merge it together before you go ahead to start extracting or drawing out insights from them. So we'll talk more about that when we get to that module. Then module 7 will be introducing further what structured query is. So this is more like going deeper into what we call SQL, which is called structured query language. So we see a way of creating databases, creating table, uh, imputing data in the table you have created. So what are the ways to create table? What sort of code are you going to use? How do you define the different columns? The features of the different columns and rows in your table. How do you make sure you limit the number of characters that must be imputed for a particular variable or constant in a table that you are doing? So that goes a bit more into little calculation and little programming, which is nothing hard as long as one is interested in doing it. So we'll be breaking this down as much as possible when we get to module 7. So 8 goes into another visualization tool called Tableau. So we will be introducing Tableau, creating visualization in Tableau. Then we do Tableau dashboards. So far, we have done Excel dashboards, meaning we have created dashboards in Excel. So another data analytics tool we could use to create dashboard is called Tableau. So we'll be taking advantage of that too. So that is adding to the set of tools we can individually add to our portfolio that we have competence over in using anytime you want to deal with any data analytics process or whatever. So a similar tool to Tableau, which is owned by another organization entirely. To be precise, Microsoft is what we call Power BI. So, Power BI is, I think maybe more people know Power BI than Tableau, but both of them do virtually the same thing because they are specialized visualization tools. And that's exactly what they do. So, they are created to help deploy a very, very neat and straight to the point visualization. And it can cut the processes we had to go through in using Excel into half. So, for instance, if I'm to create the visualization of or a dashboard for a particular project like we have done before, I could have taken, like, say, 10 to 15 steps. If I were to use either Tableau or Power BI, probably I will not use more than 3 to 4 steps to achieve the same thing because those particular tools were created for that purpose. So it's faster using them and it can be more fanciful also because that's exactly the job they are created to achieve. So Module 9, we go into some basic data ethics, some biases in data, and just sensitize ourselves how important it is for us to take note of the fact that there is information governance and there is GDPR regulation, general data protection regulation that every data person has got to follow. So it is one thing for you to know how to analyze data, is entirely different thing for you to understand the governance around data and the sensitivity of data confidentiality. Data privacy, data confidentiality is of utmost concern to everybody that deal with data. So a data analyst is not an exception. So we'll deal with this to trying to come up with a few information we need to know and how to guide ourselves and how to know when the data is anonymized, meaning if I want to share data with you, I want to be sure that the data I'm sharing with you, even if it's for a sample project, is not referring to anybody you know or anybody that can be easily gotten from that particular data. So that data has to be anonymized. So it's either you anonymize it or you pseudonymize that data just to ensure that that data can never be linked to anybody. So it's just a dummy data that does not represent anybody. So this is very crucial for the data analysts to know and imbibe anytime they are working with data so that you do not fall prey of the of data issue or leaking people's information and all that. So those processes will equally be shared. So module 10, we now go into some project portfolio like we started with in one, and explain how else you need to deal with your project portfolio and other. So if we get to this module 10, the next thing we want to do is to probably do a capstone project or do a final assessment for everything we've done so far on all of the modules. Then we can be sure that we have more than enough as fundamentals and essentials as an aspiring data analyst or people analytics officer. So this is the structure we are going to follow, and we will take them one step at a time while we are doing that. Wow, time is already gone. I thought I still have a couple of time. So I need to rush into another meeting now. So we could take it from here next class. So we are on what? Module 1, right? So we start from Module 1, from what has been explained here, then we start dealing with all of those processes. Is there any question before we call it a class? There's another meeting that just beep me up now, which I need to get into. Any question before we go?
Sorry, please. The recordings to the other classes, can it be also found on your YouTube page?
Yes, they are on the YouTube page, they are on the LinkedIn page too. Even LinkedIn page for Talent Basket, LinkedIn page for Talent Basket, then LinkedIn page YouTube page for Talent Basket is also there. So they are all there. All those recordings are there.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other question? I didn't know 30 minutes has gone just now. All right. Do we understand the process we are going to follow going forward? Is it a welcome idea? Hello? Is the process clear enough, right?
Yes, please.
Is it a welcome idea?
From my hand, yes.
All right, great. So we continue from here next class. Thank you all for joining as usual.